church has always been an environment where we cover up and certain conversations are taboo to talk about. Beyond the Platform is going to be a safe place where we air it out and discuss things that many don't want to discuss but are necessary. But I do need to make one thing clear. This is not church. We're going beyond the platform. We're going to talk about it all. I hope you guys are ready. So what, we got to start over? All right. Well, how y'all doing? All right. So we're gonna give it another take. Okay. All right, y'all. So look like we having some technical difficulties. Hopefully y'all can hear. Can they hear now? All right. So I'm not gonna do all that. I'm not gonna do all that other stuff. Y'all know what the thing is. Jesus. Okay. Well, we knew something happened. Right now, somebody at home like, see, the Lord is not pleased. I would blame it on the devil, but it was just a plug wasn't in the thing. You know, I would say Satan busy. No, we just the plug came out. It's a lot. We in my apartment, so it's a lot of stuff going on. So that's all. It wasn't the devil. It was just the plug. Okay. All right. So we good. All right. So we got Bishop Neal with us tonight.
Yes, sir.
We got Bishop Neal with us tonight. Y'all know all the other stuff. Like, share, and subscribe. All that stuff. I'm not doing all that stuff again. That's just too much. But we got Bishop Neal with us. And if you're from the Akron area, under 12 years ago, you might have seen these headlines. Akron Bishop charged with assaulting repo man over a Lexus. This was Akron news. It was in Columbus. Believe it or not, this story was actually sold to Maui, Hawaii, for $1 million. San Antonio, Texas covered it, and a lot of other news outlets all over the world covered this story, with charges stemming from felonious assault, abduction, and kidnapping. It was a major headline. It was a hot story. But behind the story was a person. And that person is here with us tonight. And he's agreed after 12 years to share this story with you so you can hear it firsthand, from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Bishop, at the beginning of your ministry, I recall you when I was actually not beginning of your ministry, beginning of my ministry.
Okay.
When I was a pastor, I remember you called a few of us pastors out, a few pastors in Akron, and you called us out to your church, something that had never been done for me, at least for me.
Yes.
You called a few of us pastors out to your church, and you brought us in, you showed us the sanctuary, and you just talked to us. You gave us game. You gave us an opportunity to sit at your feet, and you just told us, you know, we're young coming up in ministry, and you was telling us how things were and how things were going to be. And it's like you gave us a lot of instruction.
Okay.
Because you knew we were young pastors coming up in the city. And I remember that time you called us out there. And from that point on, I just watched you all the time.
Yes.
You know, I used to watch you on TV. I used to see you. That's the one pastor. Like, he cool. You spoke our language, basically.
Right.
And I remember it did a lot for me. Now, as I begin to watch, you see you had already had it going on. You had already transformed a good church into a great church. They had you had an awesome, like I said, television ministry. We used to watch you. I used to watch you on TV and be like, how you get the cameras to change like that? I'm like, that's dope, because usually you see somebody on TV just
Right.
one angle and they got their hand in the camera asking for your money, and you used to the cameras used to change, and I used to be like, dog, how you do that? But I remember doing all that, and so. Here it is. You have this one of the most progressive churches in Akron. You have a church that you totally transformed, built the extra part of the sanctuary, the dome. You had I don't think nobody in Akron even had a dome at the time, did they? You was yeah. Well, you had it, and it was like, I don't know, it was a dome. It looked like something going on in there, and so you had that church, and I remember how it was. You had a progressive church. It was flowing. Everything was going good. Everything was, you were a pastor in church that a lot of people had been talking about. And so I learned through talking to you that at some point in that ministry, something changed. One day something changed. They stopped paying you. And for 2 years,
that's correct,
you did not get a paycheck.
That's right.
And And you still worked.
From 2008 to 2010. Yes, sir.
You didn't get a paycheck and you still worked. You still pastored without pay.
That's correct.
All the way up until the day that these charges was brought against you.
That's correct.
All right, Bishop.
Okay.
From the beginning, tell us what happened, man.
From the beginning, I think most people know about me getting arrested. That's what everybody knows. They know that he was on the hood of the car and was going around the corner.
He as in
the tow truck driver.
Okay.
And basically, the report is I was driving 50 to 60 miles an hour, trying to get on the expressway. Took him around the corner. This is what I did. Well, what many people don't realize is what preceded that. But I think you just made mention of is that I pastored Jerusalem from for 18 years, and we were flourishing. We were growing from. We were the one church, 2 locations, 3 services. That's what we were called. So there were some things that was happening in my personal life, and I knew that my marriage at that time was going to be ending. So instead of going through a second divorce through Jerusalem, I said, okay, Lord, what should I do? So I met with deacons. I've been telling them everything along the way. And I said I was going to resign at the end of 2010. But because we had just bought a new building over on Wilbert, I said, I'm going to take that building. I'll be responsible for all the utilities, the bills, the payments, and everything. And they decided that, no, we want our church. So I said, okay, fine. Gave them the church, which was okay. But that had been agreed upon that the house that I bought in the village of Fairline and my car that I bought be put in the church name for a few different reasons. So that's what we did. But around 2008, a little bit before, my salary was stopped. And one of the deacons, we were in a meeting, asked the question, who made the decision to stop the pastor's salary? No one answered anything. Oh, wow. The question was asked again, who made the decision to stop the pastor's salary? Then one of the deacons spoke up and said, well, we'd rather take care of a building than take care of the pastor. And yeah, that's what I said too. You're like, what?
Wait, what?
So the other deacon said, well, he said, no, you can get another building, but we can't get another pastor. I said, not a problem. Let's keep moving forward, because I know I've been called by God to minister.
Right.
I know that beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Right.
So yes, I did continue to pastor, preach, teach, marry, bury, counsel, whatever needed to be done as the pastor for those 2 particular years. Those 2 years, I did. That's my calling. So I'm assuming that my car note is going to be paid. Had no questions about it. I'm still driving it. So this was in January of 2011. I'm over at the East location, up in the office, and I look and see a tow truck come into the parking lot. It has a car on the back of it. So I'm like, what's this car doing here? Right. You know, and I go downstairs and look outside, find him in the back, and he starts pointing like this. And I'm looking, thinking that he's pointing to somebody behind me, but he's pointing at my car. He said, come to get your car. I said, you ain't come to get my car.
Right.
That's my car. That's my car. Right. What you mean you come to get my car? He said, no, come to get that car. And I said, no. But I found out that they had stopped making the payments on my car for 5 months. They did not tell me. They did not say anything about it. No deacon, no trustee, no financial secretary, no treasurer. No one came and said, hey, Neal, we're not going to be able to make the payment for 5 months on your car. You may want to be careful, or you may want to get rid of that, or you may want to do something else. So I didn't know.
Okay, so wait, Bishop, take me here. Okay, so look. All right, because here's where I want people to get this. You're pastoring the church. It's flowing.
Yes.
And someone makes a decision to stop paying him.
Correct.
Now, was it a financial issue going on with the church where they couldn't afford you both? Because I know you guys bought the second church, but I know you heard somebody say we'd rather take care of the church than the pastor. So
we'd rather have a building
than a pastor.
So okay. we were paying our bills.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I had not, and probably this is probably the only third time I've said this, and if my daughters are watching, they didn't even know it, don't even know it, is that I turned down at least 5, if not 6 raises. And with those 6 raises or 5 raises, I hired other people.
Wow.
So instead of me getting a raise, I hired other people. So I had at least
So you had
13
help, ministry helps. Like
absolutely.
Help,
I had
like
at least 13 people that I hired.
members, stuff like that.
I'm not even including the band members. I'm talking about financial secretary, administrator, administrative assistant, church clerk, daycare, directors. I hired all of those. So the finances were there because I also was the owner of the daycare, Joshua Child Care and Development Center. So we had funds coming in from the church, but also funds coming in from the daycare. So the funds were there, they were available. So my question is, why stop paying the pastor?
Well, that was my question
so
too.
generally, we as pastors, we would cut a musician before we would our salary,
right? Exactly.
Or the janitor, or get rid of a secretary or a clerk, but not the pastor.
Not the pastor.
Somebody made the decision. So one deacon, he was very adamant, and because he didn't want it to go that way. So the funds were available. Let me say it. The funds were there. They were available.
Okay.
They stopped paying my car note.
So this was
to me.
So this wasn't we can't afford it. They were choosing
it was a choice.
Simply not pay you.
Conscious decision.
Okay, so here's where I get stuck at. Let me ask you this. You have a striving church. You transform this church.
Yeah.
This church didn't nobody talk about this church till you took it over.
Yes, sir.
And so why would they want to stop the momentum? If we got it going on.
Well,
why would you stop?
I ask myself the same question because sometimes folks do things thinking that they're doing God a favor and they're not.
Exactly.
You know, sometimes people do things out of jealousy, or sometimes people do things because they want to remain small. And unfortunately, there are people who want to have a small mentality. They're comfortable being small. There were people even when we were on Viota, and we built the sanctuary in the back, who didn't want to go to the back of the sanctuary where we built the new. No, I'm serious. I know this sounds crazy, but they didn't want to leave from the brick part to the part that we had added on and built just on the same property, on the same ground. So for me, it's like, wow, what is really going on?
Right.
So the arrest, that happened because they stopped paying. I did not know. Now, here's the crazy part, is that no one really knew we were over there worshiping or praying, but some of the deacons that were at the church. So in my mind, how did the tow truck driver know
oh my God,
that we were over there to come there? Because the address that's registered was at 1225. So somebody had to send him over there.
Okay, so at this time, when you're over in your east location,
yes, sir,
you're no longer on the west location preaching?
It's only had been like maybe 3 weeks. That's correct.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So you were them not paying you, you just decided to branch off and you said, let me go over, take this church, and y'all do your own thing.
Absolutely. That was at the beginning of 2011 when I did that.
Okay. Because
I left at January 2011 is when we started Dominion Family Church.
So you took you took your church over, you took your following over to the east location.
That's correct.
And you told them we're done. Is that where you were done with the church completely?
I wasn't done completely at the end of December 2010. We were still closing things out.
Gotcha.
And then for the first couple of weeks, absolutely. So the first couple of weeks, we're just praying over at the 270 East Wilbur.
Okay.
Services had not even began. Dominion had not even formed. We didn't start until the 5th Sunday of that January of 2011.
Okay.
But I wasn't getting paid while I was still pastoring both locations from 2008 to 2010.
Jesus.
Okay. So when I left or got arrested, what I say, that was based upon what had previously happened.
Gotcha.
From 2008, 2010,
gotcha.
Not what took place in January 2011.
So your reason from breaking it off was simply, y'all ain't paying me, let's just sever this.
No, it wasn't because they wouldn't pay me. It was because I was going through a personal crisis and saying, hey, look, me and my wife at the time having some issues. She's decided to go this way. I'm not going to take Jerusalem through this. it's best for let me leave. It wasn't because of the finances.
Okay, got you. Right, because you pastored for 2 years.
Because I pastored for 2 years.
You didn't want to bring nothing else on the church.
Absolutely.
Like,
so
I'm going through some
if it was finances,
right,
I would have left during that 2-year period,
right,
instead of trying to go back to Akron Public Schools to be a substitute teacher, right, scrap cars or whatever I had to do.
So you was doing that pastoring?
Absolutely. I had to. I did that. I did that for 6 years. Wow. I had to.
Wow.
Do the substitute teaching and making the ends meet. Now, other people know, they see I have buses now.
Yeah.
Well, I had to go into the bus service to make income, because where was my income going to come from if the church wasn't giving me a salary?
Wow. So they stopped paying the car and something in the house too?
And they at one point stopped paying the house, but they continued. Because what ended up happening with the house is, even though it was mine, I put the down payment down, but I had it in the church name. I was making the monthly payments because it was in the church's name. They had me evicted out of the house. So what they did was, it was my house.
Jesus.
My house is in writing. It's in the business meeting minutes. It's in the deacon board meetings, in the trustee meeting minutes. That is my house. I'm making a $1,400 payment every month through ECCU, Evangelical Christian Credit Union. It's mine, but it's in the church's name. So now they're coming to say, well, if he's leaving, we want our house. So I was looking out the window once, and I saw people coming up in the driveway. I saw a couple of deacons. I saw a couple of trustees. I even saw a person who wasn't even in leadership. He was pulling up, Well, listen, he was married to
a regular lay person. Like, hey, man, what you doing today? You want to come over this house real quick? Hey,
man, let me tell you, they did. They did. So I found this out. I then paused to look, and I saw their attorney had pulled up, and then I looked and saw a locksmith had pulled up. So I'm like, okay, what is really going on?
Oh my God.
So that was heart-wrenching, because now I'm trying to figure out what's going on. So I went inside, made a few calls downtown, found out that they had filed an eviction on me. I'm like, for what? If this is my house, how can y'all evict me? Well, it was based upon the fact that they said it was in their name, so it was their house. So yes, I ended up having to move. I did end up having to move. Man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I did have to move.
Now, did that happen before the car?
That happened before the car. Because no, right after the car. Right after the car. That was in January until about February. That happened in February, right after the car, all in the month of February.
So they come to the car, they add insult to injury.
Yeah.
They come after the house. And never told you once that they weren't paying these things.
No, never told me at all they were not paying the house or the car. So when I found out that they wanted to take the house, because it was a process, I did fight them. I called the deacons on the phone and I arranged for a meeting. So 3 of them arranged to meet with me. We went to the church. We met. As I walked in, they were sitting there like it was the jury. 3 of them sitting across from the table just like this. And on the ends, there were a Caucasian lady. And I'm looking like, who is she?
Right.
And come to find out, she was the realtor.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, what is she doing here? I said, we need to have a conversation between us, because if I've served you for 18 years, I don't need a mediator.
Right.
We can have a conversation about whatever and resolve this. And it ended up happening.
And see, based on the way you were responding about not getting paid, still showing up, still preaching, still loving on the people, still counseling, still doing everything, all of your duties
that I was called to do.
And based on the way you responded to that, you weren't a threat. They could have sat down and reasoned with you and had civil conversation.
In my opinion, they could have sat down and said, hey, Neal, listen, take your bald head and leave.
Right.
But let's leave like this. We can agree to disagree. We can be godly in the separation.
Right.
But sometimes people don't want to be godly. They want to be vindictive.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're being vindictive. Yes, that does trigger you to become revengeful. So we are at times do want to be revengeful and cause people as much pain as they caused us, because the pain wasn't just for me, it was for my 3 daughters as well. So now you're saying that you love me and my children,
right?
But now you're saying we're going to evict you
And your children.
and your children.
Jesus.
So
Jesus.
my oldest daughter was in college, but still, she was still being evicted along with me.
Yeah.
My two daughters, younger daughters, they were being evicted the same way. So they experienced just as much pain as they caused me because they witnessed it and they saw it firsthand over and over and over again. So it just wasn't Marc Neal is being charged with felonious assault, abduction, and kidnapping, and he got this guy on the hood of his car riding around. No, there was an event that led up to that. My reason for even pulling out of the driveway is because this was during 11 o'clock worship service.
Take us to that day. Take us to that day. So tell me what's going through the mind. You at church. You about to have service.
Get ready to have worship.
You about to have a worship service at your church.
Getting ready to go in.
And they didn't even know you were there. They wasn't supposed to know you were there.
They wasn't supposed to know that I was there because we were there praying and just following the Lord and just getting in, getting out, which had been agreed to.
Right.
So again, I think I made mention of this a few minutes ago, is that when I look out the window and I see this tow truck there with the car on the back, he points, he's going to get it. This is in January.
Yeah.
It is a Lexus 460. Wasn't an all-wheel drive, it was a rear-wheel drive.
Oh, so that was a real one. That was a big. That was a good boy.
But he goes slick and slide. He goes slick and slide. It's a luxury car. They don't have mud tires.
It was nice.
So when he said he's going to steal my car, take my car, I said, "No, you ain't taking my car." So I'm in the car. I proceed to leave and pull out. He runs and jumps on the hood of the car. Now, quite naturally, I could have stopped. I didn't. I could have stopped, but I didn't. Let's start, man. I mean, but here's the thing. I could have stopped, but I didn't because I'm thinking that he's not going to be as foolish to stay on a moving car.
Right. You thought he'd jump
and
off.
then I went maybe 50 yards to the stop sign.
Like, get off now.
Like, you
actually stopped.
I did
Here go your chance right here. Like, you see the highway right there. Here's your chance right there.
He didn't get off. So I went around the block, man. And I'm like, Lord, what did I need to do? So I went on back to the church.
Yeah.
And one of the members had pulled up and said, "Pastor, let him have the car." He said, "No, we go call the police." He called the police. The police came. The police said, "Pastor, he's on private property. This is over with. We can leave right now." He said, "No, I want to file charges. I want to take a report." So the one police officer said, "Pastor, go ahead inside the church. We'll take the report." And they did. That's at the end of January. So now I have to leave and go to Nigeria because, I travel to Nigeria several times a year. And so I go to Nigeria and I get a phone call while I'm there and says,
so they didn't arrest you on the spot.
Absolutely not.
He just said he want to file charges and last
absolutely
time.
let me go.
And you now
I went home.
I don't want to sound crazy asking this question.
But guess what?
When you came back to the church, was he still on the hood or did you let him get in the car and ride back?
No, he was still on the hood, man. That's the whole thing. So who's crazy? Hey, it says crazy Bishop. I mean, but I'm thinking about a crazy repo man.
Because maybe you trying to get employee of the month. Maybe you want an employee of the month. He's like, I'm getting employee of the month. I'm on this thing.
He got employee of the month. He got fired.
Maybe he watched too many movies. Okay, so he comes back and they don't arrest you then.
Absolutely not.
They say nothing.
They said nothing. Go have church. We wouldn't have church. We wouldn't pray.
Go to Nigeria.
I borrow my dad's car. Go home. 3-4 days later, Jesus. I go to Nigeria. Now, I want you to hear this good, man, because this is very important. Nobody knows that I'm in Nigeria, but my mom, my dad, and my children.
Okay.
Follow me good.
I'm with you.
So when I come back, only people know that I'm coming back are my children, because everybody knows that my children are my life. So forgive me for being a little emotional.
You're all right, Bishop.
Okay? So they know that's who they are to me.
Yeah.
So they know every movement that I make. So when I come back, I want y'all to know when I'm coming back, Daddy be back. So I get in the airport, call my dad, come get me from the airport, take me back so I can borrow his car. I'm driving home. I get a phone call from Milford Elliott. Elliott said, "Hey, Neal, what's going on, man?" I said, "What you mean?" He said, "I understand that there's some folk looking for you."
Yeah.
I can't repeat what I said.
Right. Right.
I said, but ain't no blank looking for me. He said, man, they tell me that you've been charged with kidnapping and abduction and felonious assault. I said, of who? He said, of a tow truck driver. I said, the only person that I'm going to kidnap is a woman. I ain't going to kidnap a man.
Right.
Just having fun.
Right.
And I'm driving, talking to him. And when I pulled up to my house, I'm still with Elliot on the phone. And the U.S. Marshals have my house surrounded. One of the U.S. Marshals jumped out of his truck, left the truck running. It ran into the other person's yard, and they came and pulled guns on me. I said, Elliot, man, I'm sitting here, and he's got these guns on me for what I don't know. He said, well, Neal, find out. They said, screaming, yelling, get off the phone. I said, Elliot, I'm going to get off the phone, man, but this is what's going on. So we got off the phone. They said, you Marc Neal? Yeah, I'm Marc Neal. So they pulled a gun on me before they even asked me if I'm Marc Neal.
Jesus.
So I said, yeah. They said, get out the car. We're going to arrest you. They arrested me. I told them who I was. The one U.S. Marshal said, we're sorry, sir. We did not know that you were a pastor. They only told us that your name is Mark. You live at 2940 Woodcrest Drive, and that you are charged with kidnapping, felonious assault, and abduction. So he loosened the handcuff, took me on down. So in my mind, I'm wondering, who told the U.S. Marshals that I was back from not Cleveland, not California, but I was back from Africa. I just got off the plane, and I was en route to my house. Now, I can tell you that I do know. I did find out.
Right. Yeah.
So I was blessed to be able to have one police officer call me and say, Neal, listen, we told this other police officer who was assigned to your case, leave you alone. Don't keep calling you. You are in Africa. And when you return, you would return any phone calls, but you are out of the country. But she didn't listen. She sent the U.S. Marshals to arrest me.
And they caught you coming home because you only told close people, and close people told other close people.
Absolutely.
And that's how it got out.
So the scripture says a man follows of his own household. And household is translated by orchius, which doesn't mean just by blood, but those kinfolk that are extended as well.
Yes. Wow.
So yeah, wow. That's what happened. So Mark just didn't go out here and stop paying his car note.
Right.
Mark didn't go out here and act crazy. Mark just didn't walk away from Jerusalem. Mark just didn't do this.
Yeah.
These are the events that transpired up to.
That led up to it.
That led up to my arrest.
And all we got was Akron Bishop. Assault.
Absolutely. So while I'm down at the police department, getting arrested and being processed through, I'm trying to figure out, Lord, what is really going on? I knew I talked to Mr. Elliot, but then about 12 hours after I was in, and I don't know if anybody watched it ever been to Summit County.
Well, I have plenty of times.
Oh,
I'm sorry. No, that wasn't part of the show. My bad.
But I experienced some things that I never thought that I would. And they didn't have room for me to go into a cell. So they gave me this little inch foam and a bologna sandwich and some scalloped potatoes and some chocolate milk. And told me to get on the floor that way. But as soon as I laid it down, they called my name. They said, Mark, your attorney is here.
Come on.
And I said, well, I ain't called nobody because I didn't have no attorney because I ain't never been in trouble.
Yeah.
But I'm going to mention his name and forgive me if I'm wrong. But Marco Somerville, who many people don't appreciate in this city, made a phone call to an attorney to advocate on my behalf.
Wow.
That came down and had me released.
Jesus.
So this is where I get a little preachy because while I'm trying to figure it out, God's already worked it out.
He worked it out.
He already worked it out
yes, sir.
through people that I was not expecting him to.
Yeah.
Okay, Milford Elliott contacted a person. This person, so on and so forth. So, am I mad? Yeah. By the time I get home, I'm mad. I'm hurt. I'm embarrassed.
Right.
I'm mad, hurt, embarrassed because, first of all, this is my home.
Right.
A prophet is not without honor, save in his own country. So I don't have nowhere to go. I can't run back to Detroit. I can't go back to Texas. I can't go to Florida. This is where I live, born and raised, Lincoln, Thornton, Central Howard. So where else am I going to go? So I stay here and just have to deal with it. So do I want to fight? Yeah, I want to fight.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Don't forget to get your questions in. We're going to ask them towards the end of the show. Don't forget to go to you're watching the Beyond the Platform podcast. Don't forget to go to YouTube, like, share, and subscribe. Put your comment in. Comment your Cash App, and we're going to give you some money tonight, okay? Bishop, you leave the house. Where do you go?
First of all, it was hard because I had to make sure that wherever I went, that my daughters was going to be okay. Yeah. That's first of all. My oldest daughter, praise God, was in college, so she still had her dorm. Yeah. My other two daughters, I said, okay, y'all can go with your mom for a little while, and we're going to figure this out. My middle daughter said, no, I'm going with you, Dad. So we went riding around trying to find somewhere.
Jesus.
We find somewhere to go. Negotiated, that's the place. But here's the thing, I'm still unemployed.
Yeah.
Ain't had a salary in 2 years. So now it's rough.
Yeah. And this is the church. See,
it's rough living.
We hear we the cause of church hurt.
Sure.
What happens when the church hurts us?
What happens when the church hurts us? They say to hell with us.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
I remember that when I didn't have the salary for the 2 years, I was still living in my house, and I had got a shut-off notice for my water. So I called a meeting, and we met over at the east side. The church was full because they wanted what I'm getting ready to say. So I said, listen, I come to say that it's tough, it's rough, it's hard. I said, here is a shut-off notice I have for my water. One of the trustees, man, stood up and said, that comes with the territory.
He said, that comes with the territory.
And I said,
a shut-off notice?
He said, me having a shut-off notice for my water comes with the territory. I said, okay. So, but then I knew what was going on and how rough it was actually getting ready to be. So all I can do is just position myself. Did I want to retaliate? Of course. Did I want to fight? Of course. Why am I talking about it now and never then? Because for me, my focus, man, wasn't them. It's survival.
Yeah.
It's survival of me and my daughters. Right. Me and my daughters, man, they got to stay in school. We got to keep going. And I talked to my middle daughter, and we just said, Daddy, a lot of us, we didn't have a chance to really process it. We just had to keep going. And that's what we had to do, like nothing ever happened. Because on one side, they're saying, hey, Neal's doing this, Neal's doing that. This is what's going on. It's proof. Look how the cars are being repossessed. Everything's my fault.
So and I'm gonna get to your response. So they're painting a picture. It's like a campaign going on, baby.
Oh yeah,
that's what it sounds like a campaign. They painting a picture of this is you. This is you. Now what's that inside jealousy job? Because when we talked about the story, it sounded like somebody was simply jealous. And we ain't got to say no names or nothing, but was that the case?
I personally feel that it was, yes, some jealousy, but also because, watch this here, that there was order being set and established, and they're not willing to conform or change to the order that was taking place or the vision, because, yes, we are growing. Okay, there was no other church in the city that had 2 daycares. I mean, we just didn't have one. We had 2. We had vans that were not paid on, they were bought cash the same day. Everything commercial. One building is 15,000 square feet. The other building is over 26,000 square feet. Doing 3 services. It's like, okay, what's the problem?
Yeah.
You want to say I'm the problem? Okay. So there was more than just inside. I don't have all the answers, but I did make some inquiries. I wanted to know, why were people mad at me?
Yeah.
Why is she mad? Why is he mad? Why are they mad? Whoever they are. Why are they even saying
you get mad
something?
and I'm helping advance your life?
Okay. There were deacons that caused or created this that I helped personally.
Yeah.
In their personal life, in their marriages,
right.
When they were being afflicted by the community, I stood with them. While they were being ostracized, I walked beside them. I provided the counsel and the advice and even finances to help them. I covered them so that their mess wouldn't be exposed. Now, if that had been, I would have been real wrong. But I covered them. I helped them I coached their marriage, that their marriage would stay together. One deacon was being violently attacked by his wife physically. But I stopped those things from transpiring physically, separated them, even while they were being accused.
Wow.
But I guess that's...
You're speaking to something right there, because we kind of talked about this on our first show. We could do so many things right and so good for so many people.
Yeah.
And it's like the same grace we gave you.
Yeah.
When you had issues, whatever it was, and then you ain't even doing what they do. You ain't even, whatever it... Why don't we ever get the same grace? I'm your leader until you see I'm human. I'm your leader until you see I might act like you sometimes.
Yeah.
Why don't we get the same grace?
We don't get the same grace. And this is what I've told people. I say, many of you want Bishop Neal, but you don't want Mark.
Right. I'm with you.
You can't deal with Mark. You can barely deal with Bishop Neal, because sometimes people want to keep us in the place that keeps them comfortable. And because them keeping us here as this title, then that keeps them comfortable. They can't accept us as a common person. But I did all I could to show them that I am human. I dress. I didn't try to dress above them. I didn't try to reach a certain pinnacle beyond them. If we go, we all go.
Right.
If I go, we all go. We eat, we all eat. It's just not one or the other. Is doing this as unified. Even when I traveled, one time I went to California, I took 75 people on the plane.
Wow.
Matter of fact, for Ramsey Wallace, is it your relative?
Ramsey Wallace?
No. Okay, no.
I got
went out to his church.
Yeah,
you might be your cousin. Y'all look alike. But we paid for people to go there.
Wow.
That's unheard of. But when the pastor traveled, that he and the church pays for people to go.
Jesus.
But when I have a challenge or an issue, it's an immediate separation.
Right.
It's like this. No one wants to be associated with you and your pain.
Right.
It's like a woman having a baby. They didn't come to understand the pain that you went through. They came to see your baby.
Yeah, right. That's good. Wow.
So it's like with me, they didn't want to see my pain, because to be associated with me and my pain says you have to become like me to be associated with me. So there were a lot of people that distanced themselves.
What about your colleagues? What about the other pastors and
Man.
stuff like that? Like, who had you? Because usually when we go through stuff like this, I remember when in the height of this stuff, I remember when this stuff was going on, I was hearing little things out there and stuff like that, and I asked you to come preach for me. And a few of us did. A few of us did.
Absolutely.
Because I remember you called us in, giving us the game.
Yeah.
And I ain't care what nobody was saying. I was like, I'm bringing him to preach. And you came, tore the house up. It was great. We had a great service. We had a great service.
It was you, Pastor Kelker, Pastor Harris, Pastor Smith, Benny Williams, the late Benny Williams, and Milford Elliott. Primarily with the ones that just said, okay, this is where we at.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, when they set the bond for me, Milford Elliott said my bond was only $600.
Wow.
But Milford Elliott,
kidnapping and kidnapping it. That show you there was some fluff. Come on.
Yeah, Milford Elliott called Benny Williams and called Jeff Dennis. Jeff Dennis said, "Yeah, I'm gonna give him $250," and then Milford Elliott said, "I'll do 200." And Benny Williams said the rest. So those who had my back, if you can say that.
Yeah.
But then there were others, even to this day.
You don't have to say their name. No.
Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry. I mentioned a couple.
Yeah, okay.
But there are a couple others.
I don't know how the law is with that.
Day.
I mean, I don't know what I'm allowed to say. What we like. Allegedly, all this stuff happened. You know how they be doing.
Oh yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I'll say allegedly.
But
my tears were allegedly too.
They was real.
There was some alleged tears.
But let me ask you this. Was it pastors that really shone their back on you?
Absolutely.
Shone their back on you and shone you?
A lot of them, even there with the fellowship that I had, there were some people
were cool with, right?
Cool.
And I'm sure you helped them. I'm sure you helped them before.
And cool as a cucumber. Cool as a cucumber with.
But they did
preach
the political.
For them, preach for me. All of a sudden, that dried up.
They did the political distance themselves from you.
And they thought that was the right thing to do because they were trying to save their ministry. And they did save their ministry by not associating with me.
Jesus.
Okay. But they failed to realize that, if I could be very candid, they had dirt, on them, because all have sinned, right? Comes to the glory of God, right? But it's about how we can tolerate certain things or choose to, for that particular moment. So there was a lot of pastors globally, nationally. There was a lot of pastors who just shut me down.
When you have issues, God is a God of wrath, and you can't play with God. You can't touch God. But when I got issues, He's a God of mercy,
that's right,
and grace.
That's
pretty much how it goes. With a lot of people looking in at you. Let me ask you this: when I was out there, I heard a little stuff. Did you hear stuff about you? I mean, because they make stuff about me now. I hear all type of stuff about me. I'm a big time dope dealer. Me and Mason.
What you got?
Mason and got what we got? That's Pastor Macy over there. Pastor Macy. We got port houses in Portage Lakes and all this stuff that we take girls to and have a crazy party, and our wives know about it.
Oh, okay.
I've heard so many things. What would you hear stuff about you, man?
I heard a lot of things about me, and I'm gonna do my best not to cry this time.
Okay. Oh, you good? You good?
No, because I did it twice, and that's two times too many.
Okay.
I heard a lot of things about me. One thing that I heard that I was having women here and there, and my wife at the time questioned me about it, and I said, "Well, you heard I took a girl to a hotel." She said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, part of that story was you came to the hotel too, and presented the girl with a gun, or you wanted to shoot the girl with the gun." I said, "Did you do that?"
Did that happen? Right?
She said, "No." I said, "Well, why did you think that I went to the hotel?" The other thing I heard was that I had some other children.
Okay.
And I probably could have hurt the person who said that.
Wow.
Because it got back to my mom.
Oh, God.
And my mom called me and said, "Mark, do you got some other children out there?"
Jesus.
And for my mom even to ask me.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful. I said, "Mom, no," because if I did, they would have been here, and you would just have some more grandchildren, no matter how they were conceived. I told her, she said, "Mark, I know, but I just had to ask you."
Yeah.
So, but what I found out is that people, especially church members, are like dogs. They'll dig dirt until they find something.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Don't I know
sometimes
that? Watch. Look where the camera at. Don't I know that?
They just dig for something, just to try to find something, and then they make up something. And here's the other thing is that everything that I'm saying today, I have nothing to lose, nothing to gain, right?
Yeah.
Nothing to benefit, right?
Yeah.
But there are some people don't want to hear it because it contradicts what they believe.
What they believe. What they want to believe about you.
What they've said.
Right.
It contradicts what they put out.
Right.
It's the other side of the story that they don't want to have to deal with.
Yeah.
The reality is like, well, that's just what I heard. That's who told you. They did. I'm still trying to find out who They are.
Yeah, it's always my teacher.
Yeah.
One time I asked my niece was just lying about a story, right? She just telling a story. She just lying, and you know, black people always say they, but she was like, they said Reverend Run's people, Reverend Run, and I said, baby, who are they? And I caught her off guard with that. I said, who are they? She said,
right, absolutely,
my teacher,
right.
I'm like, so she just blamed her teacher, but that's what it is. If you was to ask everybody right now, who are they?
Yeah,
they wouldn't have an answer.
Absolutely,
because they is probably them.
Absolutely. They are them.
They are them, man.
they are part of them.
Okay, so get your questions ready because we're going to get ready to answer some questions in a minute. But Bishop, I have to ask you this because this is the main thing that I really wanted to touch. And this is the main reason why I even wanted to, I appreciate your story and I'm glad you took the time to share it with us. But the main thing I wanted to ask you, and this was what this whole thing was about after hearing your story and talking with you, because I reached out to you and I said, man, Bishop, would you, I asked Pastor Ed, would you be willing to tell your story?
Yeah.
Because I remember the story.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I want to hear it from you, know? And so when you said yes, man, I was really happy. I was like, man, I'm glad because this is fair because some people they've had this story in their head. Mm-hmm. They've had this picture of you in their head all of their life.
Right.
All this whole time since it happened, let's say all of our life. But so my question is, because this is where I really believe that you are such a different breed.
My mom said I was crazy, so I must be.
No, this is something, but you might be crazy for this in my eyes. You might be crazy for this. How did you resist your reflex for revenge? You are such a better man than me. If this was me, I would have did everything I could. I would have made sure I got everybody back, everybody who did. Because Bishop, this wasn't no situation with them just saying, leave the church.
Right.
Or we want to kick you out the church. Or we're going to get another pastor.
Leave. One of the persons asked me, is this God telling you to go or you just want to go? So
they wanted you to stay and work for free. Meanwhile, y'all not going to pay my bills.
Here's a shut-off notice.
It comes with the territory.
And it comes with the territory. Absolutely.
Your kids, and like I said, I don't want to bring them. I don't even want to just belabor this. That's a sensitive point. But you had kids, man.
Absolutely.
This is your livelihood. You're working for free. You're doing everything you can to make ends meet while you're still preaching and giving. I'm sure you're counseling. I'm sure you're doing everything that a pastor, bishop would do in this situation.
Yeah.
And you're believing God. It's gonna shift at some point. You're asking God. How did you? I mean, look, you even waited 12 years to tell the story.
This is the first time
you gave people
ever,
a lot of grace.
This is the first time ever.
Some of the people that probably attacked you, are they still alive now? I mean, I don't even know. Did anybody die off? I mean,
there are some that are dead.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
But there's still some that still living.
But it's 12 years ago. But so still some people that's probably walking in it. How did you not fight back? Naturally. I'm sure you prayed, God.
Of course, I prayed
because we're gonna go into how it shifted for you, and you was able to, you still got you got a church, and God did all that.
Yeah.
But how did you not do nothing?
It's not that I didn't want to, man.
Right.
It's that I still can, because the things with the people who are behind this are still living. I still know what I've done for them. I just haven't told nobody.
Right.
So, but it was all about self-preservation, surviving, trying to keep myself together. Yeah. Part of it was still trying to maintain an image, that was there. Because yes, with the fellowship, at the time we were in 14 countries and I'm traveling, doing this, trying to not let people look and see that the bishop, right. Not the pastor, not the elder, not the minister, not the evangelist, but the bishop, is still pushing forward. A lot of it was because of my daughters again, because they were getting a lot of my flack.
Yeah.
I remember my baby daughter calling me from school saying, "Hey, Daddy, come get me." She's on the phone crying. I'm like, "What's the matter?" She said, "They up here talking about you." I said, "Who, them kids?" She said, "No, the teachers."
Oh my God.
So If there were
Jesus.
ever a time that I wanted to take both of my thumbs and press it through somebody's throat till their eyes popped out of their head, was at that particular moment, because my daughter was experiencing a chaotic moment whereby she got the blunt of what I was experiencing because of what they heard from their adults,
from their parents,
about what happened to me.
Right.
And, you know, like everybody around and most people who are watching, you don't mess with our children.
Right.
So I wanted to resist. No, I didn't want to resist. I wanted to hurt them.
Right.
But it was a conscious decision not to, because I wanted to say, okay, God, you handle it. Yes, you do this. Take care of me, because I need to be helped through this whole process where I'm at. And it was a friend, Pastor James Sturtevant, I think we had this conversation in D.C., who called me in July 2011 and said, Neal, I need you to come preach for me. I said, no. We went back and forth, and I did. And he just said, Neal, you're in the best place of your life.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I'm not. He said, yes, you are. I said, no, I'm not. He said, yes, you are. I said, man, I ain't. He said, yes, you are. You're in the best place of your life because you're in a place where you need God.
Wow.
And I said, man, I always need God. He said, no, you haven't. He said, because whatever you needed, you were able to get for yourself or the ministry provided. But now everything is dried up. So now you need God.
More than ever. Wow.
More than ever.
Jesus.
So I cried then like a baby and said, okay, I want to go home. You know, but I didn't. I stayed and preached for him. And he's been a great, great person through all this ordeal as well, man. So the only thing that I can say is that the inner strength of God and the fact that others were praying for me, and I didn't consciously feel certain things, trying to make it, man. It was fighting them wasn't the issue. It was me trying to make it every day.
Yeah.
When you got a rent to pay, because I don't have a mortgage,
right?
I got to pay this $900 rent now. You got to pay the gas, got to pay the water, got to pay the electric, got to pay this. I went down to a little Obama phone. You remember the little Obama phone that was about this big as a credit card? I had an Obama phone, you know. And, you know, I wasn't driving a Lexus no more. I was driving a Chrysler Concorde or something like that. You know, and still living off in the cut, just trying to make it, man.
Yeah.
What I'm going to eat, making sure. And I remember my gas got cut off. And this is the first time I'm telling this story, and I hope my daughters don't watch it, because, you know, I don't want to embarrass them, but I'm testifying about this because this was my experience. And I said, okay, Daddy, I said, girls, Daddy got the gas cut off. It's going to be a couple of weeks before I can get the gas back on. I said, Brittany, you in school. Brittany, Marissa, and Bria, y'all go stay with your mom. Okay, Daddy got to rough it. I know how to boil water.
Right.
You know, because the electric was still on. I ain't have a gas on that electric, so I had to boil my water. And my daughter Marissa said, Daddy, no, I'm gonna stay with you. I said, no, Marissa, go on with your mom. She said, no, Daddy, we gonna get through this together.
Wow.
So little things like that, man.
That helped you.
Man.
That helped you.
Man.
Because it was about them.
Man, it was about them.
Why do something to get taken away from them?
Absolutely. So I looked at it. If I kept fighting, I drug them into more of my scraps. More of my battles. And their more emotional pain that they had to go through. So if y'all want to know why Marissa's a great preacher.
She's been through some things.
Oh, she's been through some stuff. She's not preaching because it's an intellectual dissertation or theological presentation of her homiletics and hermeneutics.
She's preaching experience.
This is life experience.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to know why Bria and Brittany can sing and testify like they do? It's not because they got the best voice or because they have training, but they're singing. I remember Brittany singing a song, "If It Was Not For the Shaking." You know that song?
Yes.
I don't even know all the words, but in the breaking, you know what I'm talking about? And I'm looking, and I'm sitting there crying. I'm like, baby, don't sing that song no more. I wouldn't. Man, that's what it's about.
Let me ask you this: did your kids look at the church different?
Right now, all three of them look at. Watch this here. They look at the church different.
Not God.
Not God.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Not their salvation.
Yes, sir.
They look at the church different. Here's the crazy part. My daughter Marissa was just over at Jerusalem 2 or 3 weeks ago doing their prayer service.
Wow.
They still call her to come preach their Women's Day. Now, I'm not allowed in their pulpit at all. So if there's anyone that has a funeral there, I'm not allowed to preach their funeral. Now, I pastored them for 18 years. So the deacons have it where if one of them dies, if they want the funeral at the church, I cannot be in the pulpit. I cannot preach it. So I've only preached one person. That was Brother Larry Morris when he died in July, I think 2012, and June 2012. His wife said Larry wanted his funeral at the church, and he's going to have it here, and Pastor Neal is going to preach it. They compromised and said, okay, Pastor Neal, you can preach, but you can't get in the pulpit until it's your time to preach. So I walked around the church with my robe on, the church that I built by God's grace.
Come on,
okay.
Man. Say that again.
I walked around.
Wait, please.
I walked around the church
that he built. Jesus.
And the deacon followed me. When I went to the bathroom, he followed me. I couldn't go over to this other side where my office used to be. I wasn't allowed to go over there.
Okay, wait.
I had to stay in the vestibule.
What did they think you were going to do?
I'm still trying to figure that out. I don't know because I never asked.
Jesus.
So I preached this funeral, but others who have gone on, mothers that love me, that I love, I wasn't able to preach their funerals at all. And if somebody dies right now, it has to be at the funeral home for me to preach it, or I'm not allowed to preach it at all. Period.
Jesus. And still,
to this day,
you haven't. You. I mean, you are exemplifying Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. Bless them that pray for them that hurt you and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, Jesus. Have you seen any of the ones?
It's crazy. I see them a lot. I see a lot of them, and this is what I have a challenge with in my mind. And I spoke to a couple of people. I said I was going to do. Some of them still want to call me pastor. Some of them still want to call me pastor. And so I'm like, how you gonna call me pastor? First of all, you don't even attend the ministry where I'm at. Number one, you don't support anything that I do. Number two, and number three, you still allow them to put me through and my family what we experience by not saying anything. You don't disassociate yourself with them, and most of them are in leadership. Watch, that I placed there.
Jesus, man,
you know, I don't need. So is it crazy?
See, everybody. We got a couple of pastors here too. That's everybody won't understand that. You know what I'm saying? That's something that Jesus. It take. I just don't know how you did it, man. I don't.
Maybe I don't even know how I'm doing it. I mean,
or how you're doing it.
How I'm doing it.
It's something that you never forget. It's something that you never forget because no telling what we understand. God had a plan in the midst of it all.
Yeah,
but people can be so afraid of change.
Yeah.
That you want to stop the momentum.
Yeah.
Because you're fearful, because you're traditional. You know, the Bible said the tradition made the gospel made not effect, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes people don't. They're so afraid of change that they'll rather stay stuck instead of going with the progressive God we serve that takes us from glory to glory to glory. They'd rather stay stuck, stagnant, stale in the same position, doing the same thing instead of noticing. Look, God has blessed us.
God is moving
with a pastor that's taken us across the Red Sea, and I'd rather stay back there.
So they were more, in my opinion, this is my opinion,
Jesus,
attached to the building than attached to the vision.
Yeah,
and that's just how people are as a whole. So some of them still call me pastor. You can always be my pastor, this and that. They send me Facebook messages or inbox messages, things of that particular nature. But they're worse than Nicodemus, who came to Jesus by night.
I know, right. Yeah, because that's what it is. Yeah, public attacks, private apologies. Those
type of things.
Yeah,
those type of things. And I was at a funeral once, and I saw some of them, and their eyes got big as pancakes. You know, and I just walked in, spoke, and kept on
Hey,
going.
you still showing love. You still saying, hey.
We have to, man.
Yeah.
And maybe this podcast here is, yes, for me to tell my story, but also opportunity for me to deal with some stuff that I still have.
Yeah.
You know, because, you know, revenge is, yes, I want you to feel the same amount of hurt and pain that you caused me. But because I'm going to be patient, I'm going to withhold the judgment that I could actually bring upon you.
Yeah, right.
You know, because first, you know, I want to be right in God's eyes. But I also know that God has a way of getting the person. And maybe this is,
well, I look at it like
where
this.
he wants me to be at the moment.
I look at it like this, and get ready to get your questions. We got questions. We're gonna get your questions, and we're gonna answer questions here shortly. Also look at it like this, Bishop. It's somebody watching right now, and they're not as gracious as you. It's somebody contemplating right now what they're about to do in a situation like this.
Yeah.
It's somebody contemplating, like you said, even it don't even have to be about a church and a pastor.
Correct.
It could be a relationship. Somebody's ready to get revenge.
Absolutely.
And it's not always easy
to
not clap back. But you're a perfect example because you lost a lot.
I lost.
You were betrayed by people that you built. You were betrayed by people that you helped become.
Yeah. Yeah.
These people didn't even have a voice. And I don't mean this in a crazy way. They didn't have a voice until you gave it to them.
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
And they used the voice against you.
Absolutely. The teachings, the preparation, the sowing, they took it and reversed it. And so you're right. So if there is someone watching, not a pastor, maybe it was their job, and you want to get them back, should I tell them the person to get them back or not? No, I'm going to just say, you know, live your life right now and make yourself and your family the priority, because at the end of the day, my energy went towards my children, not towards trying to fight them. If I had to do it all over, would I do it the same way? Probably not. I probably
well, thank God.
You know, I probably come on, let's talk. I probably, you know, hindsight is always 20/20.
Right.
You know, because in 2011, people don't know. In 2011, man, I moved 3 times in 1 year.
Jesus.
They say that moving is one of the top 5 stresses of life, besides death, marriage, unemployment. Moving is. So I experienced all of that, you know, in that period of time, man.
Jesus. And so, but God was still able to pull it together, because you ended up buying a church.
Yes.
And God did a quick work with that.
He did a quick work, man. We were in Summit Lake for a while.
Before you tell us about you buying your church, let me ask you this. And this is even a more important question, because somebody needs to hear this here.
Okay.
Why didn't you give up on God?
Wow, that's a question. Did I contemplate?
I've seen people go through less and give up on God.
Did I contemplate it? I thought about it. I probably, I did go through a depressive period, and I didn't realize it. And the only way that I realized how depressed I was is because once we got evicted out of the house and we got into another house over on Rock Circle, that, you know, me and my girls, we're living there. Brittany's in school. Bria and Marissa have their room. I live in the basement. Did I tell you where I live? I lived in the basement. Did I tell you where I lived?
In the basement.
I lived in the basement. The only thing that separated, that's how I lived in the basement. I lived in the basement, and there was a door. And when I moved my clothes in, I had a king size bed. They was all on one side of the bed. So I would wash my clothes. Instead of putting my clothes up, I just dumped it back on the side of the bed. I slept on one side. My clothes was on the other side. You hear what I'm saying? As I'm talking about it, even sounds crazy. But now as I look back in retrospect, I must have been depressed. I didn't even know I was depressed.
Well, that's the power of God.
That's God for a year. For a year, my clothes was on one side of the bed, and I would get dressed with the clothes that was on the bed. I knew they were clean.
Yeah. Wow. Man.
Put them in dirty clothes, and, you know, I would wash them, and then after I've done like. So this is why now there's nobody can tell me anything about what God can, will, able to do.
Right.
When I think about him being sovereign, God can do what he wants, to whom he wants, as long as he wants, why he wants, and when he wants, and he doesn't need nobody's permission. So that's what sovereignty is. So where I'm at now is I'm in a better place in the state of my mind. You know,
it sounds a lot like have you tried my servant? Have you tried my servant?
Boy,
he ain't gonna curse me. He ain't gonna give up. He ain't gonna, because
right.
you didn't do none of that.
No,
I've seen people walk away from God because somebody rolled their eyes at them at the church and they quit coming to church and quit and gave
Absolutely.
up on God. I've seen people give up on God for way less.
Absolutely.
Way less.
Way less.
You knew about Job, but was you thinking about Job at this time?
I thought about him,
okay,
but I don't think I could have survived Job's experience when the children.
Yeah, no, that would have been rough. That would have been rough. That would have been rough.
You know, why you come to you because God
knows he'll never. He'll make sure you're able to bear it.
But listen, if that would have happened,
yeah,
I probably wouldn't be sitting here in this chair.
Right, I'm sure.
There used to be a place out in Congo Falls called Falls View.
Yeah,
the psychiatric
mental hospital.
Yeah. I probably would have been there on the North Coast. I would have lost it. You know,
like COVID.
I would have been there, man. You know,
so. Jesus. Okay, so you went ahead. You ended up getting a church. Tell us about that. You moved forward in ministry. How did that?
Well, it was rough because
you prayed through it. God got you through this. How were you able to keep preaching?
I had 12 people. Yeah, 12 people that decided out of 900,000 people. Out of 900,000 people, I remember when we got to about 900. One of the trustees says, "Pastor, I think you're trying to build a cult around here."
That's the normal thing. Any progressive church is a cult. Don't worry about it. Any church that grows a little bit, you're a cult. If they're not calling you a cult, you're not growing.
I promise you.
But go ahead.
They call me that, man. And so 12 people were brave enough to say, we're going to go with you. And so we would meet down at Summer Lake. Okay. Summer Lake, the gym. Yeah. You know, with LeBron.
Uh-huh.
With LeBron.
Uh-huh.
The place that LeBron built.
Yes, sir.
And we had worship service every Sunday. We set up and we tore down every Sunday. Set up and tore down every Sunday with 12 people, man. And the Lord showed me a building. I had $17,000 to my name. $17,000. I know somebody wish they had 17. I wish I had $17,000 right now. $17,000 right now. I'm gonna be rolling.
I can use it right now. I can use $17,000 right now. That sounds pretty good.
And the Lord said, "If you take care of my house, I take care of yours."
Come on.
So we made a great agreement with the church that was there, and the church didn't even go on the market.
Wow.
This was face to face. We did, and it met with the title companies, but I was still short because you needed to have a certain percentage down. And I told my mom, I said, "Mom, we short, but we go get this money." And she said, "Okay, Mark, you go get it." And I remember that we had the keys to the church, signed all the papers, but that Monday we were supposed to have all the money for the title to be transferred.
Right.
So I'm thinking we're going to get to this church on Sunday. I'm going to preach to everybody, tell them, "Hey, y'all need to bring some more money up in here."
Right.
So we get this title work done. Right. They came, but they ain't bring no money.
Oh, wow.
So Monday. So Monday I go to the church and I just pray and just walk around. And my mom calls me on the phone. She said, "Boy, have you seen your dad?" I said, "No." She said, "Where you at?" I said, "The church." She said, "Well, he on his way there. She just stay there." I stayed there. Dad pulled up and sat on the side of the car. And I came out. He said, "Boy, you got that money yet?" I said, "No, Dad, I'm going to get it." And I grabbed my phone. I said, "We go get it." I sent somebody a text and said, "Come on, y'all bring y'all's money." He said, "Here, come get this paper." And I came down and got that paper and I looked at it. It was from the title company where he had went and paid the balance of what I owed.
Man. Oh, come on, man. See, God already worked it out.
So again, for the
Jesus.
second time, while I'm trying to figure it out,
Figure it out. He working it out.
he already worked it out.
Wow.
You know, so
Wow.
so that's why, you know, our building, we got a room there. It's called the JBL room, the Joe and Brendan, the Lewis room. You know, after my mom and my dad.
Come
You know, so I appreciate them to the highest. And the last thing my mom told me before she died, and I appreciate y'all coming to the funeral services. I do, and I do remember Reverend Harris and Bishop Smith, and also Pastor Butts, Senior Dennis Butts, that they were supportive and came down to the court. But my mom told me right before she passed, is Mark, keep your heart pure. Yeah. So I think that might be one of the reasons why now I have not done any revenge. Yeah. Is because I'm trying, man, to keep my heart pure. Yeah. I'm not perfect. Yeah. I'm not perfect at all. But I want what I do to be pure. My preaching, my teaching, my living to be pure, man. Yeah.
And see, that's something we can all grab. That's something we can all grasp, because it's not always easy to not get revenge, to clap back, as people say, right? But the Lord said, vengeance is mine. He said, I will replay.
But sometimes, man, it don't seem like God is doing it fast.
He don't do it like we want him to do it, right?
Or he don't do it like we want him to do it.
He's dealing. I mean, he's dealing, and he was working with you. And like I said, I think it was a "Have you tried my servant" concept. Yeah. I think he wanted the enemy. He wanted to show the enemy that he's not gonna curse me. He's not gonna give up. He's not gonna leave. He's not gonna. I mean, the stuff you went through, it would have been very difficult for me to not do something. Yeah. I'm just being honest. Even with my babies, y'all would say, y'all just lay here. I would have got somebody to watch them while I wouldn't handle my business. Yeah. But I mean,
absolutely.
I just being honest. Absolutely. I would have felt some sort of way, but God kept you through that. And if y'all don't get nothing else out of the story, whatever you want to get out of the story, at least grasp this. Yeah. You don't always have to clap back. Yeah. You don't. There's a reward for not clapping back,
even if it's delayed.
God ain't. I don't even think God is done with the situation yet. You know, I don't think he's done.
I don't think he's finished.
I don't think he's finished with the situation.
I know he's not.
We don't know how this thing is going to end up. But I don't think. I don't want to attack or do nothing like that, because this is your story. It ain't my story. But I can honestly say that you were doing a great work at that church. You could do the way you could, and that church, and you could feel it. You could feel that church missed you.
Yes, sir.
You could feel that. I'll just say it like that.
Yes,
you could feel the church missed you.
Absolutely.
Period. You can feel it. You can feel it missed you, because you were doing a great work, and it was a great progressive work. You can feel the church simply missed you. Let's take some questions. Because I want to give them an opportunity to engage with you and ask what they want to ask, and get to right to it. So go ahead. We got any questions? Let's go. What's the first one?
I think what made me stay is just the fact that that's what I was called to do. I was called to pastor. I was called to do ministry. So I wanted to stay. There were opportunities for me to leave. I had calls from Houston. Like I had calls from Texas. I had calls from Georgia. Hey, come. But I just felt called there. And because I was called there, I believe that God did sustain me. And of course, I built the ministry, built the church. We implemented 33 new ministries. We have about 13, 14 ministers, 12 deacons, and we were growing. We were enjoying the fellowship.
And then there is a belief. Let's not get it twisted. There is a belief, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Bishop. There is a belief when a person is going through something like this, especially a pastor or just anybody in church, period. When you feel like you're being wronged by a church that you love, that you've invested into, your time, talent, and your treasure, there is a belief in your heart that God will shift this at some point. Like God will step in and handle it. I don't have to keep doing it myself. God's going to step in and handle it. So did you feel that? Did you think that any second he's going to get here and handle this?
That's one statement. And I'll say this and we go to another question, is that I learned from going to Nigeria. I saw cars, I saw buses, I saw vans. On the back of it said, any day. Yeah. So I said to the one cab driver, I said, hey, man, what does any day mean? He said, Daddy, any day. Any day God can fix it. Any day God can do it. Any day God can change it.
I like
so it's just any day.
We still in that. I like that. Make sure you heard it here first. Get there. Put that in our stuff. Go ahead. What's the next question?
Yes, I wondered why me, because there were some other pastors who was doing things worse than me that I knew about, that I could have pointed at, that it was things that they were doing to abuse the church.
Jesus.
You know, they were, in my opinion, they were taking advantage of the church. They said unless the church paid them a certain salary, a certain amount, drove a certain way, lived in a certain place, had the checkbook, things of that particular nature, they were not going to pastor. So they were very much of a dictator. Whenever we had church dinners,
yeah,
I would eat last. I mean, just as an example. Some people may think that's not a big thing, but to me, that was huge.
That's a big thing because I want to eat first. If it's my church, I'm eating first.
I prefer them, man. You know,
yeah, you better than me, man. I told you.
I just went around, y'all eating, I fellowship with everybody. Then I ate afterwards. So,
Jesus.
yeah, I did say why me, because I knew pastors who were doing things deliberately to abuse their congregations.
Jesus, and that's it. Jesus, we all had why me moments. What's your next question?
I don't even know how strong I am, but the saying is you don't know how strong you are until you put under a certain amount of weight and pressure. So I didn't want to run and hide. At certain points, I wanted to be left the hell alone.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's what I wanted to be. I didn't want to hide. I remember being that giant eagle in out in Montrose, and it was almost closing time, and I'm in there just get what I'm going to get, come out, and this one guy comes behind me and say, "Hey, pastor." Wait a minute. I'm like, "Who is this? I don't even know who it is." And he said, "Let me speak to you for one moment." And I said, "Oh, Lord, I don't even want to talk to him." And then afterwards, he's like, "Man, how's your faith?" What you mean, how's my faith?
Right.
If you walk where I walked and dealt with what I've had to deal with, you would know that wasn't nothing but my faith that's been keeping me.
Right.
So I didn't want to hide. I just wanted to be left alone and get through this.
Right. You go from bishop. Everybody know you. Everybody talking to you. Everybody, and then now it's that's the bishop. That's the bishop.
That's him.
That's him. That's a whole nother feeling. You know what I'm saying? You could not want to be bothered, but then you hear that's the one bishop right there.
Because now I'm unemployed. I'm not at the church. I don't have my car. I don't have my house. I'm trying to get a job now. Mm-hmm. So for 5 years, I remained unemployed for 5 years, no income.
And then you get felonies, right? Were they a felony? One was a misdemeanor.
So they all were felonies, but they got because there was no previous.
Yeah, and it wasn't nothing serious.
Yeah, right. Even the tow truck driver came in, apologized.
I mean, I would have had fun. I would have said, "Man, you crazy for this, man," but I'm kicking it. Yeah. He didn't do that right. I mean, I don't think that was really. I don't think that was a situation that, based on your trust, you did probation.
I did 3 years of probation, man. 3 years of probation that I had to walk right, live right, do right. Maybe that's the reason why I wanted to be left alone. You know, because I could have snapped at any moment.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, so you went from a pastor building a church, and now you're on probation because of the church.
Because of the church.
That's
funny, man. I never heard it put that way.
But it's true, you know, and it's correct because it's like y'all did this to me. Yeah. And it seemed like somebody was on a mission because they was challenged by your authority. They were challenged by change. And they probably wanted to be there, just have a little more pull, or they probably it seemed like they could have been challenged by your influence, the way you were getting people to.
Probably, I agree with that. Influence.
I'm just saying stuff, but all these things.
But I like what you're saying.
What other reason?
I like what you're saying.
What other reason would y'all want to stop the momentum? And I'm building this church, I'm growing this church, and we going to another level.
And I'm not going by myself.
Right.
I'm not going by myself.
I'm taking y'all with me.
Y'all coming with me. I'm hiring people. We're building.
Come on.
Employees are happy.
See, you the head. If if the cup is running over,
Yeah.
I like to tell my people there's also saucer ministry.
Absolutely.
There's also saucer ministry. If the cup runs over, guess what it falls onto? The saucer.
And
I'm
the
okay
same
with
thing in the
saucer
cup.
ministry. Let me be the
Yeah.
plate. Let me be the saucer. Because if it's running over him, then it's flowing on to me.
Yes, sir.
If it's flowing from the head to the beard to the garment,
Come on.
it still
Come on.
flows down,
Come
and
on.
everybody
Come on.
gets some.
Absolutely.
So why
Absolutely.
would you? And then listen, especially if it wasn't no oil being poured before him. I ain't trying to be funny, and I probably just lost all type of people. I lost 14 members. Nobody like me no more, but I don't care because it's my podcast, and we like to air out what don't nobody want to talk about.
Come on.
So
Come on.
so
Come on.
so you changed the church,
Yeah.
and
the whole dynamics.
and this is where we at. What, any more questions? We got any more questions? Come on. We got them going. You got time, Bishop? We got about 4 more. You got time?
I got time
Okay.
for 20.
All right, come on. Keep it coming. That's good.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Why didn't
That
I
gonna fit
fall
on the
from
screen?
grace?
That question gonna fit on the screen?
I think per the status quo of people, I did fall from grace.
Come on.
You
Come
know,
on.
because people, when they look at you erring, they think that you fall from grace, but it was grace that kept me.
Yeah, come on.
Grace that would sustain me. The reason why I didn't lose my mind, I may have lost my mind again. I didn't know it
Yeah.
because as questions are being
God kept
raised,
you.
I'm trying to figure it out right now.
I kept you.
This is the reason what grandmama said, that God would keep you from danger seen and unseen. That's one of the things, because I didn't see me
Look, if
losing
you're
my
not
mind.
sure, if you lost your mind, God kept you.
I promise you. I promise you.
you.
I
What else would
promise
it be?
You know what else could it have been? You know. So
Jesus.
what the second part of that question was? Right. What keeps me believing is my salvation, because I don't want to go to hell.
Good answer.
I mean,
Good
you know,
answer.
I don't want to go to hell. And I preached a sermon once. Don't abort your assignment, and don't let nobody castrate your assignment.
Gee, that's good.
So that's another thing that helps me, is not allowing someone to castrate
Yeah.
my assignment.
Right.
You know, and asking God to keep me during the process. So,
Yeah.
you know, that's what keeps me, man.
Who's the famous philosopher that said unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting them to die?
Yeah.
Somebody said that. One of them quote famous guy.
Yeah.
But see, that's what that would have been had you stayed. Because how are you now? Let me ask that. I know we got cut, but let me ask you this: have you forgiven them?
Man, I've forgiven them. Here's the thing: I am in such a better place right now in my mind, and I'm so free. It's been a process. Maybe it's been a 12-year process.
Yeah.
Maybe this is why God had me to do it today,
Really.
because I needed 12 years.
Right.
You know, maybe He didn't have me during the 8th year.
You can do it
because
year
I
9.
wasn't ready for that. You know, because I still know how to cuss,
It
right?
would have been a different podcast
Okay.
year 9.
And I still know how to adjective, compound, curse. You know,
You know how to make a whole sentence out. You know how to make a whole paragraph out of it.
You know what I'm saying? So maybe it took that that whole period of time, man.
Wow.
But I'm better. And let me just say this. You said it earlier, but I think it's a good place for me to say it now, because what I needed, I didn't need pastors coming to preach for me. I needed to go preach.
Yeah. Wow.
So that was a reminder to me that God hadn't fired me.
Yeah. Come on, man.
The fact that you let me come preach, and all the other pastors that I named earlier let me come preach, it was an indication that God hadn't fired me.
Even the people did. God did.
Even if the people did, God didn't fire me. Because there was still a response to the word that He spoke in me.
Yeah. What somebody say, people will write you off, God will wipe you off.
Yeah.
People asking for your cash app, Bishop. They want to give you some money.
My
Amen.
cash app?
Amen. Let the Lord use you. Yeah. What's your cash app?
I gotta find out.
Let
I don't even
the
know my
Lord
cash app
use
is.
you. Okay.
I think it's my name, Mark, $ Marc Neal.
$ Marc Neal.
I believe it.
Yeah, you may
Okay,
confirm, because my name could be
confirm.
Marc Neal real quick if y'all give me about 5 minutes. My name is Marc Neal. Give me about 5 minutes. My name is Marc Neal. Lord, don't let nobody get on there and make a
funny.
cash app real quick.
I need to ask Harris, is that my cash app? $ Marc, Marc Neal, Neal, all one word. You know, I'm grateful to God for whoever made that request.
I see mean faces on here. I don't know what that means. That was you, Mason, put a mean face? Oh.
I did, but I'm gonna confirm.
You got
right
the Marc
now.
Neal? Okay, listen, we're gonna send this Cash App to you. We're gonna send this Cash App out.
That's it.
It's
$
Marc Neal? Yeah, can somebody type that in the
Neal.
comments? Okay, it's on the screen. His Cash App is on the screen.
Yeah.
All right. And yo, that be a blessing. That's awesome. That's awesome. We didn't ask for it. Somebody offered. So we thank God for that. We thank God for that. I hope nobody tune in right now, man. They giving me their Cash App to people. No, we didn't ask for it. Somebody wants to bless the man of God because they got the revelation of how that works.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. What's your next question? Let's go to this next question.
Wow, now that's a wonderful question there.
How has this experience changed the way you lead and pastor? That's a great question.
Now, I still lead by following the Lord first. Mm-hmm. I lead with a little bit more compassion, but I also lead making sure that my family is going to be taken care of.
Right. I know that's right.
We call that selfish.
This would never happen.
But my children would never have, my wife now would never have to worry about those things happening in the future, because there's some things put in place legally as well,
right? Sure.
To make sure. Sure. The other way it helps me is the fact that I talk to pastors now, if you want to use the word mentor, to let them know of some things that they need to consider. I always use the word consider, because just don't go to the church and preach, and just don't say, "Oh, Reverend, you preached today." Right. But what did I do last week? You know,
not last week, but today you did. You did a great job.
You know, and remember that your message is for the salvation of people, not for the applause of the people.
Come on.
You know, so now my leading and preaching is for the salvation, as it was always, but more conscious now, and I'm empowering other pastors to consider those type of things.
Come on. I hear you. What's the next question? That's good stuff. Had your trust changed with people in the church?
Yes. Here's the crazy thing. Right before this took place, I don't know why, I was selected to go to Ashland Theological Seminary to be part of the POE program, which is called Pastors of Excellence.
Okay.
So I thought that I went down there because I'm a pastor of excellence. And I thought that I was chosen about 50 of us out of the whole country.
Wow.
And while we had to go through this program through an Enneagram and an Geniogram of this inward, outward, forward journey.
Wow.
And as I went through all of this, I was like, wow, I don't trust folks no more.
Wow.
So yes, it has changed. I don't trust people like I used to.
Yeah.
Is it a shame? Yes, it's a shame. Yeah. It's rough, it's tough, but that's just where I am right now. But I used to be worse than I'm at this present moment.
Yeah.
You know, if you say, "Hey, Mark, this is," I'm like, "Man, bunk you."
Right.
You know, don't even come that way with me. I don't even want to talk to you. Oh, I'm gonna, man. Yeah. Forget you.
So it challenged your trust.
It has challenged the trust, because trust is what? Trust is saying, I'm relying completely upon you and not my own abilities.
Right.
Trust says, I'm going to forget the strength that I have and rely upon your strength. I'm going to forget what I know and rely upon what you know.
Yeah.
So no, I don't trust people in general that way any longer. Yeah. My mom,
they used to say you could trust the God in people, but that's even becoming hard sometimes.
I don't even know if I trust the God in people, because the way that they present their God.
Yeah, their God. You said it right there.
You know, the way they present their God is not godly.
Right.
Because if they had, then I would not have been wounded the way that I was. Yeah. Because what's the whole phrase? I know all of you heard it. Christianity is the only army that kills their wounded.
Kills their wounded. Yep.
You know, so
friendly fire.
Yeah, friendly fire. I experienced that. I preached a sermon once, not long ago in Texas, for my friend Bishop Glover, out of the book of Acts about Paul, left for dead. Left for dead, but I didn't die. You know, folks want you.
That's a good
they want to leave you for dead. But can I give us something real quick, please?
You good.
I beg you, please.
Come on.
So what I like about Paul is the scripture says he was beaten and stoned, right? Barnabas was with him, right? He was left for dead. He didn't die, right? But the Bible says, and the disciples stood around him. So my question is, where were the preachers?
Oh my God.
Okay,
Oh
okay,
my
wait,
God,
hold on.
man,
Okay, Barnabas was right there with him while he got stoned and beaten. But it was the disciples that stood around him, not the preachers.
Oh my God. Oh my God, man.
And the preachers are the ones that know that you got stoned. They got beat, man. It was preachers that knew that I got stoned, but they didn't stand around me.
Jesus.
But thank God there were some disciples that drug me out of the city.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Until I got myself halfway together, man.
Oh my God. This is just, that's
crazy. So left for dead, but I didn't die.
You didn't die. And God, because it wasn't meant for you to die.
It wasn't meant for me.
And you didn't kill yourself.
And I didn't kill myself.
Come on, man.
I didn't kill myself.
Come on.
I think that's important.
It's pastors who kill themselves for less.
Absolutely. They have.
Losing everything.
Absolutely.
Some pastors do that before they lose everything.
Yeah.
Some pastors do that because they don't want to deal with losing everything.
Yeah. Marco Somerville spoke to Phil Trexel. Phil Trexel, the writer for the Beacon Journal. And he said, Phil Trexel, do you believe this, what actually took place? He said, no, but it makes a good story.
Yeah. Right, man.
So sometimes people are doing things for the story.
Jesus.
And after I found out how it sold and where it sold to,
I was just about to ask you that. For you, we got a headline that showed it was in the it got all the way. It got sold to Hawaii for $1 million. How did that make you feel, man? Like
horrible.
Why?
Horrible. Like a prostitute.
Jesus. I mean, y'all could have gave me. I could have told you the whole story for half of that.
Hey, I'm trying to tell you.
I would have told you everything. $39.95. I would have told you everything. If you just gave me.
I would have told them some things that was true.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I would have gave you the real story, but see, they don't want that. No, they don't want the real story. The hot topic sales, the lie sales. Yeah. The lie is more intriguing.
Absolutely,
it sounds better.
It sounds better.
So they didn't want that. But I don't even know how you kept it together in the midst of all that. Man.
Just trying, man.
Well, give me come on, give us a couple more. Let's take a couple more. Let's take a couple more questions, and then we At
any point did I question God? Yes, I did.
We kind of already talked about that. You want to speak to that?
I do, because when she said it, it triggered in my mind. I questioned God. I said, God, why me? He told me 3 things. 1, he said, Mark, don't fight the process. Number 2, he said, Mark, it happened to you to show you who you are and to show you who they are. And I argued back with God at this particular time. I said, God, I know who I am. I know who they are. He said, no, you don't. I said, yes, I do. He said, no, you don't. I said, yes, I do. He said, no, you don't. I said, yes, I do. He said, no, you don't, because I want to show you that these people were only attached to your stuff, but not attached to you. So he said, I'm going to remove all your stuff.
Right. And
let you see that they were not attached to you.
They were with Jesus for the fish and the loaves until it was gone.
Yeah.
Once it was gone, they went home.
If you want to know who's with you, get in the crisis, because the crisis separates people.
It reveals. Yep.
That's what it reveals.
It reveals
the nature, the heart of people, and how much they really love you and care about you.
Especially when people think a ship is going down. Yeah, they'll jump out.
And it's not.
And if it stays and it never go down, they want to jump back in.
Right.
But the ship never went down.
I never was looking for people to validate my errors.
Right.
But say, hey, let me walk with you. And here's the crazy thing. I was telling this to Harris once, and I said this. A couple people came up to me after the fact and said, Neal, we knew you was going to make it. And my response to them was what we were talking about the other day. And I said, if you knew I was going to make it, why didn't you help me make it?
Why didn't you help me make it?
And that's the only thing that I'll say right now.
Yeah.
If you know that I'm going to make it,
be
my cut man.
Yeah. Speed up the process. Help me.
Help me in my corner. Help me to go back in the corner. Tell me what I need to do. Spray some water on my face. Give me some smelling salts.
Right.
Put some iodine or something, cuticle oil or something on top of me.
Cheer me on.
Cheer me on and say, hey, you got this.
You got this.
Even if I'm losing, tell me I got it.
Yeah, you're right.
Maybe I can do a Joe Frazier haymaker.
Yes. A puncher's chance. You got a puncher's chance.
Yeah.
That is funny. But go ahead. What's the next question?
I don't think that I'm totally healed. And the only reason why I don't think that I'm totally healed is because
Still hurts.
it still hurts. And I look at it as how deep you've been cut, how the scratch is. Right now, I can scratch myself with a pencil. I can scratch myself with a paper clip. I can scratch myself with a butcher knife. They're all going to leave marks, but they're all going to heal different.
Yeah. Even if you heal, it's still a scar.
Absolutely. It's still a scar. And remember, I was there for not 18 days, not 18 months, 18 years.
And it hasn't even been 18 years since this.
It hasn't been 18 years after the fact.
Jesus.
So there are still things that I'm healing from on a regular basis. And my words of wisdom is simply this, is still trust God, but make sure you put things in place that's going to cover you in the long run. Bottom line, have more than one source of income as a pastor.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And the crazy thing is I did. But you know what the crazy thing I did? Is I left the daycare to them when I walked away. Okay, I left Joshua Child Care Development.
You left the residual to them.
Absolutely, because if I would have left and took the daycare, then they would have said I was taking all the income.
Yeah, they would have taxed.
But I left the daycare.
But you still. But wait.
And I wasn't even getting the salary from the daycare.
Wait a minute.
Barb Miller was my daycare administrator, and I left the daycare to the church, and they shut it down after like 3 months.
I ain't gonna get sued for all this name dropping in my man. Anybody can't even sue us, can they?
Oh, I'm just saying facts.
Okay, yeah. It got to be defamation, right? You got to be lying.
I'll do my very best. I'm not gonna mention someone's name.
No, you good. So look,
we rewind that.
So wait, this is a whole nother lesson in grace. I didn't even look at that. But with you saying that's a whole nother lesson in grace.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Y'all stop paying me.
Yeah.
Took my car.
Yeah.
Took my house.
Yeah.
Sent somebody from Falls View to jump on top of my car.
Yeah.
And I still left y'all to daycare.
And I left you daycare. You can look right now and
you are
see
a better man than me.
Joshua Child Care Development kept moving forward.
You are a better
after
man.
I left for about 3 months. I left them all of the daycare equipment.
I would have came in. I would have came in and took all the equipment. I would have took the kids. I would have took the kids. I would say, get in my car. I'm taking the kids with me. Get my.
No, I left them all. Left everything, man.
Oh,
everything.
Jesus.
I left everything. There's no cannot be an accusation. Hey, he left us in a bad shape. How did I leave you in a bad shape? I left you everything.
If y'all ain't getting nothing out of this, if you ain't seeing a lesson in humility and forgiveness and grace in all of this tonight, man, I couldn't have done that. I would honestly say I could not have done that.
Yeah.
That was God, man. That was God with you.
Nobody.
That was God with you.
Lord. Of course.
It was God with you.
Of course. Of course.
Because I'm sure you didn't feel like doing that. But
no. Of course I did, because I know that I could have got another building real quick. Because we have before care, after care. We do summer programs. We have, remember, daycare at 2 locations because we ran out of space at one, so we had to have it at the other. So we're talking about at least maybe 120 kids.
Jesus.
And when you do the math by that,
all my Title 20 people, y'all know what
Title
that
20,
means.
we know what that is. We know what
they
that
like
is.
Jesus. You ain't have to worry about nothing. You would have kept that.
Heck yeah.
Jesus, but that was love. That was love. We'll take one more question. Because we, if they're gonna keep asking, we're gonna take one more. Is that you forgot it? Oh wow, that's
what would I say to those who are watching right now
that did this to me? If they're watching, if they're watching, if they're ghost watching, if they just press a little mute button without actually getting on live, or if they on YouTube, or they can't be seen, or they're gonna go back and watch it after we say. What would you say?
I would tell them, first of all, I still love them.
Well, you showed that.
I do. I second of all to say, I hope that what I said now gives them the opposite of what they just heard, one dimensional. And then the third thing I would say is, if they haven't, go get it right.
Wow. I'm with you.
That's why I would tell them, if they haven't, go get it right. Because at the end of the day, I got to answer to God for myself.
Yep.
You know, and they're going to have to do the same thing. We must give an account for everything that we've done in our body, whether it's been good or bad. You know, so they may have talked about me, ran me down, stabbed me in my back, or whatever, but they can still stay at the ministry where they are if that's what their choice is. You know, because as a parent, that we're still moving forward. Right. But go get it right, because that's what the Lord wants you. You remember when Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane, and Peter was there, and Malchus came along, and he was talking all this stuff, and he cut his ear off. Jesus reached down and did what?
Put it back on.
And put his ear on. You know why? Because he said, "He that hath the ear to hear, let him hear." And how can they hear without a preacher? But how can they hear without an ear? So Jesus said, I want them to have an ear so they can hear what the preacher is saying. Jesus. So I want them to have an ear.
My God. This is why he ain't cut your ear off. Because he wants y'all to hear.
So they still need to be able to hear.
That is good, man. Hey, listen, I've been enlightened tonight. Bishop, I thank you, man. I thank you just for sharing this, man, because we didn't know all this. And we didn't ask, you know, we didn't want to, but even us being connected to you didn't even know everything you went through. Yeah. You were very gracious with and you know, if I was to interview them or if they was right now they watching, they like, that ain't how that went. I understand everybody got stories, right. But you can't you it is what it is. You see what it is.
Well, they would say that, but what I would say is this: we can sit and have a conversation. We can talk about the whole process, but I promise you that there would be nothing.
Right.
That Marc Neal said tonight. That was false.
Come on.
Nothing.
I believe.
Not one thing that was false.
Yeah, nothing falsified. These are all facts over this way.
Because I mean, it's not like the church is vacant and get ready to call me to come back to be the pastor.
Right. Maybe they'll let you in now, though. How about that? You can just. But let me ask you this. Before we close out. And again, go ahead and if you like, share, and subscribe, I'm going to kick you $50. 2 people give them $50 tonight. But let me ask you this. And this is the last question we ask before we go. If there's a young pastor watching right now who's maybe in a similar situation, who's going through something like this, or maybe just struggling, being a part of a body of believers that, you know, maybe he's moving the church forward and he's getting resistance. Protect yourself, but what advice would you give him?
Get with a senior pastor who is not intimidated by you.
Right.
That you can reveal your heart to, that will help guide you. Listen to wise counsel. That's going to be the whole ticket right there, because don't get to someone who's your equal that will take advantage of you or tell you, oh, well, doc, this is what I'll do if I was you. No, somebody who doesn't have any interest, but that can guide you and the congregation and help you. Because some young pastors, they're so foolish right now that all they want to do is preach, run, speak in tongue, fall, get a big congregation, get an offering, and think everything is going to be okay. It's not, man. It's not, because there's an old guy that once told me that sometimes you're only going to be as good as your last sermon.
Right. That's true. That's true.
So right now, at the Bush, what do they remember about Kelker? What do they remember? I mean, you've been at the Bush. You founded the Bush for how many years now?
17. I mean,
17 years.
What is it? No, hold on. Where are we at? 18 years, 19 years?
18, 19?
17, 18 years.
Okay, so
I don't go there.
Let's not even deal with the last 5 years. Let's deal with the first 4 years. What do they remember about the first 4 years.
Yeah.
Most of them that wasn't even there in the first.
Well, they wasn't
4
there.
years.
They didn't see the struggle. They didn't see. The
They
struggle.
don't know the struggle
lot
that
of them
you
came
did
down, yeah.
to build the
Yeah.
ministry, the ridicule
Yeah.
that you had to deal with, the lies that you were confronted with, the challenges, how you labored, how people came, how people left,
Yeah.
how they stabbed you in the back, what they said
And in the
to
front.
you about you, and in the front. But then now some will see where you are right now, and someone will sneak back around. But guess what? You still got a pastor.
I take, and I'm gonna be honest. I strive off of knowing that so many people wanted the ship to fall, but it's still standing.
Yeah.
And they're still waiting for it to fall.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm sure that's in your case.
They want you. They're waiting on your demise.
They're waiting on it to sink,
so they can say, "See, I told you so,"
or God, or feel vindicated by the Lord.
Okay,
you know,
there's two types of people that show up to a crisis. The first type of people that show up to a crisis is, "Dang." That's the first one. See how messed up he is. The second type of people that show up to the crisis is, "Let me try to help him." Yeah. But there's always more people that says, "Dang."
Yep. It's more of them.
Than there's people who are trying to help. And the dang people are standing in the way of the "let me help you" type of people.
Right. It's more of them.
It's more.
The let me help you got to press their way through the crowd.
Absolutely. They do, man. So,
Jesus.
You're doing a great work. You know that. The Sanballat, the Tobias, and Geshems, and all of them, they're going to say what they're going to say.
We just can't come down.
We just can't come down. We can't come down. And here's my last statement that I'm going to make.
That actually sums it up.
Yeah,
we just never came down.
We just can't come down because there's a work that we have to do that I did. Because they're still going to be people that are just relying upon you and your calling.
Wow.
There's people still relying upon you. I promise you that they're still waiting upon you on Sunday to give a word, a life-changing word for them to apply to their life.
Somebody needs you.
So absolutely, somebody needs you.
Still needs you.
Ain't that what Jesse or Samuel said to Jesse? We won't sit down till David come in the house.
Yeah. Come on, man. Come on.
So we can't sit down till you get in the house.
Hey, y'all, you young preachers better get some nuggets out of this. There's a lot of sermons in here tonight, man. There's a lot of sermons. If you don't preach them, I am. So so Bishop, take us out, man. What you want to say to the people? To anybody watching right now, anything. Just what's you resisted your reflex for revenge. You're still striving to this day. You have a beautiful marriage. Your kids are successful. Your kids turned out great because you made the right decisions. Yeah. And it's funny because what Marissa did is like a picturesque of what we all have to do. She stayed with the Father. Yeah. No matter how rough it got, she stayed with the Father.
Boy, you better watch
She was a picturesque of what
yourself.
you did. You stayed with the Father.
Yes,
so just take us out, talk something, say something to us.
The only thing I'll say is I want to thank you in the podcast for even asking me to tell my story, because I haven't, man. And maybe through this, I did get a little emotional. Because just talking about it, I've never told this story. I may have told one or two people here, their bits and pieces. My friend Bishop Darren Gay in Virginia, he knows, but not really sitting down and saying, okay, here are the events. My mom died not knowing. My dad still doesn't know to this day, and he's not going to get on Facebook, so he still would never know. Right. But they always supported, and I appreciate them. And I appreciate the pastors who did stick with me. Yeah. And so I'm just grateful. And the last thing I would say, if you're part of a ministry, be part of the ministry. Receive the word. Let God deal with the man of God, the woman of God. When there's rumors or whatever it is, no man is perfect. And I'm not going to give a whole dissertation, but every person in the Bible that God used to write the books, none of them were flawed. But yet we read them and quote them and hold on to them.
Yeah, we ain't cut David off, but or Paul, we cut but you cut the one that helped you off.
No, yeah.
Yeah, that's
because folk will receive your benevolence. They receive your benevolence.
They would take it and talk about you at the same time. As soon as you leave, as soon as you drop all that furniture off at their house.
At their furniture.
They're gonna talk. I had a flashback. That would just be okay.
No. But you know what? You just helped me. I remember moving the family from California back to Akron
Jesus.
because she needed to get custody of her children.
Oh my God.
So what we did, we went, got her an apartment and furnished the apartment so that she would be able to get custody of her children through CSB. Oh, she was one of the ones that talked about me as well.
And listen, and y'all want to do this, right? Y'all, some of y'all young people want to do this. This is what y'all want to do. Y'all want to be pastors, right? Everybody can't handle it. Be careful what you asking God for, because He might give it to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
He might give it to you, and everybody can't have. Everybody don't have this capacity. Bishop, I want to thank you, man.
No, thank you, man.
I mean,
really do, man.
This meant a lot to me, and I was so happy when you said yes, and just to get an opportunity to hear this and to hear you, and I know you're genuine. I mean, you've always been a genuine man. That's never been in question.
Yes, sir.
But I really thank you just for this opportunity to talk to you, and I thank you going back all the way to that time when you called us into.
I thank y'all for coming, man, just to be able.
Well, I mean, you had a voice that would make us come.
Yeah,
you had a voice that, and that's probably where a lot of our mental come from, because we can make a phone call now.
Yeah,
and you actually told us we would do this in the city one day.
Yeah, I sure did.
That's what you called us there for. Like, this is what y'all about to walk into. This, you kind of talked about a changing of the guard type of deal.
Absolutely.
And you was like, this is what y'all gonna walk into. And now the same how you was able to make that phone call and get all these young pastors to come see you. God has given us some of that same grace.
Absolutely.
And you return the favor by I'm able to make a phone call and you come see what I'm saying. So God is just I see what happened, but I appreciate you then for sowing, and I appreciate you now for sowing into us, man. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. So I want y'all to, if y'all don't know Bishop Neal, look him up. Dominion Family Church. He's the pastor of Dominion Family Church. Go to his page, look him up. I know y'all got his little, what's the stuff on there? You got his Cash App. So if y'all want to sow a seed into the man of God. Sow a seed into the man of God. This is amazing. It was an amazing time, and I need to get you back on here for the wisdom, for some wisdom,
happy
just to talk about some other stuff. Okay, so we're gonna talk about that. He's gonna be a regular here. So I love you guys. Thank you guys for everybody who watched. Don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. Beyond the Platform podcast on YouTube and all social media. This is also on every platform. Okay, it's now on iTunes, Apple, whatever that is. Randy know all that stuff, but it's on everything. So y'all listen to these podcasts, get a hold of it. I think God is up to something over here, and we're thankful tonight to everybody that watched. Everybody that's going to watch. If those of you going to watch this later on, I hope you're blessed. I hope you was able to get something out of this, because I did, and I know a lot of you did. And so I hope that God speaks to you exactly how He has to speak to you. Okay. Until next time, I'll let you know who we having next. But we love you guys, and we're thankful. Again, sow into the man of God. Reach out to him. Tell him you love him. Inbox him. Talk to him. Tell him how you feel. There's probably more questions. If you got more questions, you can ask Bishop Neal actually directly, because he's the type of bishop, he'll talk to you. So you can hit him in his inbox. He's gonna respond. He ain't gonna be the one that you get that automated message like Pastor Kilker is not available. Oh no, that's just me. Okay, you ain't gonna get that automated message. Okay, so reach out to Bishop. Thanks to Pastor Mason and Pastor Harris coming and hang out with Bishop-elect Mason. I'm sorry. And Pastor Harris coming to hang out with us. I'll be forgetting, man. I got to get used to that, man. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Once you start wearing the robes and the little beanies, then I'll call you Bishop all the time once you start wearing them. But right now you got the Gucci's on with the, you know what I'm saying? So it's hard. But once you start wearing them hard shoes and the hats, and I'm But I love y'all. And thank y'all for coming to hang out with us, man. All right, we gonna eat some pizza, man, and just hang out for a little bit and talk to each other. So thank y'all for watching. We'll let you know who's next on Beyond the Platform podcast. You are watching Beyond the Platform podcast, the place we air out what nobody want to talk about. I'm your host, Dewan Kilker. I will see you guys soon. Peace. Here go the smile.